Hello there and welcome back to another tutorial. So this is going to be actually not really a full tutorial, but just really a small look at how we might do colour searching using a Robotino. So you can hopefully see already the video of the completed project running on the screen here. What I have is a small little program where the Robotino is searching for different coloured objects within a space, and then when it finds those coloured objects, it's trying to drive towards them. So in this screen here, we are driving the Robotino around and we're looking for the pink cylinder, and then it's going to try and find the blue cylinder, and then after that it's going to try and find the red cylinder. And the Robotino is looking for these three different shapes, these three different colours, and then it's kind of driving between them in a little pattern, and we're looking at the logic and the steps and the transitions that help us do that. So the first thing I'd love to say is that this tutorial is not entirely my own work. This is based on a tutorial which I found on YouTube called Colour Recognition for the Robotino Camera. This is a good tutorial. It's about half an hour long, but it is in Spanish. So if you're really interested in how to build up an entire program like this from scratch, then I recommend watching through this video. You can watch it with the subtitles on. But if you just want a quick overview of how this might be achieved, then please feel free to continue to take a look at this video. So this isn't by no means a perfect program. You can see the Robotino's got a little bit stuck here at the moment. Hopefully it will sort itself out. No. We'll leave it running for a little bit, it will eventually find it. But there are kind of some key concepts here which are really interesting and really worth looking at, and I wanted to take a look at how those might work and talk them through with you. Okay, there we go. See, the robot found the pink object again, and so it's off on its travels. So the first thing we're going to have a look at is how the colour detection works, and then we're going to look at how the driving between the different steps works, and then we're going to look at this whole kind of transition table that we've got here and how this is working as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stop the robot and I'm going to reset the scene so that we can run it again from scratch. And we're going to start by looking at this first step here, which is our find pink step, because this is going to be looking for the pink cylinder. So if we come into this step here, I'll try and make it a little bit bigger here so we can see what's going on. Here we go. So the first thing that we're doing is we are telling the Robotino just to turn around. Okay, so we're driving in a kind of clockwise direction, I think. If you're looking down on the Robotino, I think you'd describe it as a clockwise turn. And at a very slow speed, so the Robotino will just slowly rotate. Then what we have here is the logic for what it's actually looking for. So in order to get this to work, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to disable the output step here. So if I just do this here, there we go. So this Robotino will now never exit this step. I need to do this. So I'm now going to connect to my Robotino and run. And so we can see our Robotino beginning to spin. If I now double click on the camera, I can see here the view that the Robotino can see. So this is the Robotino's camera image, and we see that it's rotating around, and we see what the Robotino can see, and we see, okay, it's seeing this pink object up close. But how do we get it to actually recognize this pink object? Well, after that, we go into this item here, which is a color range finder. And what we can see is that we have already taught it this kind of pink shade of colour. That's what it should be looking for, this kind of pinky shade. Now, if we wanted to reteach this, what I can do is I can freeze the image just as we go past the pink, and I can select this pink area again, okay, and now it's kind of re-indexed what the pink looks like. Now, obviously, this is a fairly good index already, so it hasn't changed too much, but if you needed to reteach it, that's what you could do. Okay, so what we're then doing with the logic here is basically this position that we have up here is the X position. And so this is telling us, can we see where in our pixel range can we see this pink? And you see the value change there as the Robotino went past it. So the output of this camera is 320 pixels wide. And what we're looking for is when the pink basically gets to the center of this, which would be about 160 pixels. And so what you can see here is I've got a comparison down here at the bottom to say if you can see the pink in between 159 and 161, so in other words, at 160, if you can see it within these two ranges, if that's true, if both of those are true, then we output a true signal. And where do we output that true signal to? We output it to a variable called color. So then in our main program, we should be able to see that we go from there to color. Color is our transition, and we come into then drive forwards. In drive forwards, all we're doing is just driving forwards. Now I'm driving forwards at quite a high speed here. I'll slow this down. So we drive forward at high speed. You should see, hopefully in a moment, it might be able to do that. It's looking for the blue at the moment. It's in this find blue step. I might just slow it down a bit so it rotates a bit slower. Hopefully then it will find it and you'll see it will come into this drive forward step. Let's see, there we go. So it saw the blue, it's driving forwards, and it drives forwards until these front sensors are tweaked, or until there is a timeout. So the timeout is important because as it's driving forwards, there's a possibility that it kind of veers off course a little bit. So what we do is, if we haven't got to our destination within 5 seconds, I make it repeat the scanning cycle. So you see it's gone back to find blue, and so it's rotating again. Hopefully it will find it again, and then it will go forwards. Again, there are more optimum ways that you could do this, but this is just an example. So here we go. Should find it now, should drive forwards, and then it should go on to the next step, which is find red. Great. So we're now on find red. We're rotating around again. Perfect. And it's driving forwards. You'll see it will drive forwards for 5 seconds, and then it might correct itself a little bit, or it will just continue going. Yeah, okay, so it hasn't, basically as it was driving forwards, it's veered off slightly. So again, it's just going to scan again and check that it's actually driving towards the red object. There we go. And then it will go back to find pink. So how are we doing these transitions? We start with our find pink, we wait until we see the colour, and then we drive forwards. If the distance is reached, if the Robotino is next to the object that it's trying to find, then we move on to the next step. But if not, if the timeout is greater than 5,000 milliseconds, we jump back to step 1, which is the find pink rotation. So essentially it's rotating around, driving towards something, rotating around, driving towards something. What I'll do is I will leave a little link so that you can download this Robotino View program by yourself and experiment it. But there's a couple of different tips and tricks for things that you might want to do next in order to experiment with this. It would be really nice if instead of doing a full rotation every single time it can't find it, it either goes kind of to the left a little bit and then to the right a little bit. That's one thing you could try. Another thing is, rather than just using a timeout, we could actually check whether or not we can still see properly the colour within a certain range, and then we could veer left or veer right. So rather than doing this full rotation each time, we could probably widen our search parameter and turn in the right direction. Those would be my 2 suggestions for modifications to this program going forwards. I hope that's been a useful oversight. As I said, please do look at the full tutorial on how to build something like this up on YouTube if that's something that's of interest to you. But if not, then have a lovely day. And that's it. I hope you found this video useful. Please feel free to like and subscribe for more content coming soon.